Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we have a bunch of information that was released by Sledgehammer Games in regards to feedback that they received from the alpha, and they're also giving us a preview of what we can expect in the upcoming beta, which is going to be the actual multiplayer. We're talking Team Deathmatch, Domination, even Search and Destroy is going to be in the beta, along with some really interesting other game modes, and we're going to be covering all of that here in today's video. So like I mentioned, this information is coming straight from Sledgehammer Games over on their blog post, which I'll put a link down there in the description. They give us a bunch of information about what they're going to be changing going from the alpha into the beta, including the damage overlay. They're going to be reducing the density of the sun fog. They're going to be increasing the rim light around players to help separate them from the background, especially on my day one PS4, like old school PS4. I could barely see people when they were across the map with all the blur and all the smoke and all the darkness. It was ridiculously difficult. This is something I find to be a little bit concerning. Audio tuning here. So non-players are going to be anyone that isn't you, which means enemies and teammates, and after the alpha going into the beta, they're going to be increasing non-player footstep volume slightly, as well as slightly reducing the weapons of the other players in the lobby. So everyone talked about how the footsteps are pretty silent by default, but they're already increasing them, and with the concerns that the game is going to have dead silence be a field upgrade as compared to a perk, this seems like a bad thing, especially considering Search and Destroy is actually going to be in the beta. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see how things are going to play out there. Now here they're talking about changing up some spawns on Champion Hill. That's fine and whatnot. They're going to be fixing some destructible walls and nameplate visibility and things like that, which is all good. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Let's talk about what is going to be within the beta. So in the beta, the maps are going to be Champion Hill, Hotel Royale, Gavutu, I don't know how to pronounce that, Red Star, and Eagle's Nest is going to be in Weekend 2. So are they suggesting that Champions Hill is going to be its actual own multiplayer map? It's not only going to be available for the Champions Hill game mode, but rather it's going to be a map itself? That sounds interesting, if at all possible. The game modes that we're going to have in the beta are going to include Champions Hill. Well, that explains right there. Champion Hill, they're going to have solo, duos, and trios for Champion Hill in the beta, should you want to play that over traditional multiplayer. We're going to have Team Deathmatch, Domination, Kill Confirmed, Patrol, which is interesting. We'll be talking about that here in a second. And in Weekend 2, Search and Destroy, which I can't remember the last time they tried Search and Destroy in an alpha or a beta in the Call of Duty franchise, so very excited about that. Usually they pretend like Search and Destroy doesn't exist, and typically they try to like replace it with something like Search and Rescue. Well, they're not doing that this time around, so big ups to Sledgehammer Games there. That is awesome. And the weapons of Champions Hill are going to continue on. The core multiplayer, our weapon levels are going to go up to 30, and if you're a PlayStation player, you're going to get 2 extra creative class slots, so that's fine. Here we see combat pacing. So basically what this sounds like is this is going to be roughly how many players you can have in the game. So if you go into the tactical playlist, which I hate that they called it that, it's going to be normal 6v6. It's like traditional 6v6. If you go into the assault playlist, it's going to be between 20 and 28 players. So we're talking 10 to 14. That's kind of like Ground War in a way. And then Blitz is going to be anywhere from 14 on 14 to 24 on 24. That seems nuts. And also, the big thing for me is why? The big question, why are they not focusing solely on traditional 6v6? They're calling 6v6 tactical combat pacing, which I hate so much. And now they're also adding in all these extra game modes. And I get that variety is good in the Call of Duty franchise, but look what happened with Black Ops Cold War. They spread themselves so thin, trying to account for 2v2 and 3v3 and the Ground War modes and normal 6v6, that eventually 6v6 was pretty much dead. When it came to the launch of Black Ops Cold War, we had the least amount of 6v6 content that we've ever had in the Call of Duty franchise. And we already know for a fact that we're getting something like, what was it, like 16 6v6 maps at launch, I think, for Vanguard. It's already been announced. That's cool and everything, but the fact that they have all these extra playlists is kind of nutty, unless, of course, we're playing, you know, 14 on 14 or 24 on 24 on the 6v6 maps, because if so, that could be interesting. I'm trying to think of, like, an old-school Call of Duty map where 24 on 24 would even work. Like, even going back to the larger maps of Modern Warfare 2, like Wasteland, the 24 on 24 still seems obscene. High Rise, Terminal, Stonehaven, maybe, from Ghosts. I'm trying to think of just some really large maps. Array, I don't know what normal Call of Duty map that was like designed for 6v6 would work for 24 on 24. So that's going to be interesting. It says right here in the blog post that player count is determined by map size to achieve the intensity described in the combat pacing system. Player counts will vary. It doesn't actually say anything about the maps themselves. We scroll back up here, we know what maps are going to be in the game, but we don't, their names. We don't actually see the maps. So we really have no idea how exactly that is going to work. We're going to have different operators here within the beta, which are going to have their own finishing moves, and that's good. And then many thanks to Sledgehammer Games. So I mentioned that one game mode here. Let's see if we can go ahead and find it. It's called Patrol. This game mode's right here outside of this. Oh, here it is. So Vanguard's going to introduce another new game mode, Patrol. Based on Hardpoint, the objective-based mode will feature a scoring zone in near constant motion. If operators want to rack up points for their team, they should keep up and move around the map within this patrol point. So picture a hardpoint that's constantly like walking around the map essentially, and everyone has to stand within it and keep moving around the map over and over and over to actually score points. That sounds fun, actually. I mean, that seems like an interesting concept for a game mode. Is it going to be like the next Kill Confirmed, which was like, whenever I picture back to Kill Confirmed, I picture that as like a new quote-unquote game mode, even though it came out in Modern Warfare 3, that kind of just like took the community by storm and it became a staple like right away. Like every year they try these new game modes like Search and Rescue. I'd say Ground War is a good example of that, like the new Ground War where they have all different maps and stuff like that. They keep trying these new modes and rarely do they stick with the community. Typically we fall back on Team Deathmatch, Free-for-all, Kill Confirmed, Search and Destroy, Domination, stuff like that. Well, it's good that they're trying new modes, especially if it's going to be a 6v6 mode, and I'm interested to see how that's actually going to play out. That should be a lot of fun, and it's going to be kicking off on Saturday of weekend 1 of the open, quote-unquote, beta. Here are going to be the beta dates once again. Keep in mind, weekend 1 and weekend 2 are not exactly open. Only a couple days of weekend 2 are technically open, despite the fact that they're calling this an open beta. So depending on your platform of choice and what you're able to do, here are going to be all the dates and all the information on your screen right now to kind of give you an idea of what you might be able to expect when it comes to actually being able to play the Vanguard beta. But ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Sledgehammer Games is listening. They are paying attention to all of our feedback from the alpha. They're making changes going from the alpha into the beta, and then the beta itself is right around the corner. It's going to be very interesting. And also, in 5 days' time, on September 7th, the official multiplayer reveal will be happening for Vanguard, which is what most of us are waiting on, right? Like, the alpha was fine. I mean, it was what it was, essentially. It was no big deal. It was kind of like this gimmick game mode. We got an idea for how the game is going to look and how it's going to feel at a fundamental level, although a lot of that is going to change between now and the full launch of the game. But it was fun. It was, it was a side game mode. It gave us a glimpse of what the game had to offer. Now is when things are actually going to get serious. We're talking about the actual multiplayer here. We're going to start seeing the maps. We're going to see the game modes, the guns, the weapon levels, the perk systems. Like, these are going to be like actual features in the game, right? As compared to a game mode where you just hit right on your D-pad and it levels up your gun up to 10 times, and then you just run around on these tiny maps. Like, it's going to be a whole lot different than the Gunfight Alpha, I suppose, is the point I'm trying to get across. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider leaving a like. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.